Hey, what's going on, everybody? Work here, and we have some more Jackbox news today. As we get closer to the release of Party Pack 10, Jackbox has been dropping little bits of information, but this week we got a big bit of information dropped about the game FIXYTEXT. So we had seen a little bit about FIXYTEXT before. They put out a bit of a press release that I made a video on earlier this year, but this week the channel Outside Xbox got access to FIXYTEXT, and they have an hour-long video over on their channel where they play 3 full games of FIXYTEXT. But we are just gonna go over what we saw there, sort of how the game works now that we've seen it in action. We're gonna have some of that video right over here, and we'll explain what is going down in FIXYTEXT. So let's dive right on in. FIXYTEXT has 3 rounds. It's very similar to many Jackbox games. But the way that FIXYTEXT works is at the start, players get to select a category. They select 3 categories here, obviously 1 for each game. We don't know how many categories there are, but they have the ability to select the category and see those categories beforehand, which is cool. So in this first one, they select a category about flirting. So let's go over sort of how the game works. Okay, so in round 1, we have 4 players playing. It's gonna split that in half. We actually never get to see all 4 players play at the same time in this game. It will always take seemingly teams of 2 or perhaps half of the players. But in round 1, we're given a prompt, and we are given a pre-made text message that the game created that we edit. Since you can't delete though, you just add to it. Now in this, it's interesting, players get to select where they want to place their cursor at the start. Now this will change a lot because, like I said, you can't delete and you can't change. So once you place your cursor, that is where you're gonna be typing. And you're just going to be finishing out the text. It's very free form. You kind of just write what you want. Then after that time runs out, the remaining 2 players who were not in the game typing, they get to select some of their favorite words, and those players will get points. Once that is done, we're gonna get the text-to-speech going through the text message, which ends up usually being pretty crazy, pretty awesome. Another thing about the text-to-speech that you might recognize if you play a lot of Jackbox games is that those Vocaloids, or just text-to-speech, vocal, whatever they are, you might recognize a couple of them from Mad vs. City, maybe from other Jackbox games. So there's some similar voices in there, familiar sounds. And now after we have voted, it's time for the other players to do the same. So if you wrote in the first round, well, in the first half of the first round, you're now going to be voting in the second half of the first round, and vice versa. So once that's done, basically it's time for the remaining players to have their chance to do some FIXYTEXT. It's going to work the exact same, but with the opposing 2 players writing. Now in this video, the players sort of describe FIXYTEXT as a similar to the game Exquisite Corpse with text messages. Now I wasn't familiar with Exquisite Corpse, but here's a little of information about Exquisite Corpse. I guess it's like a drawing game, perhaps. Very interesting. But anyway, they describe FIXYTEXT as like the writing equivalent of the game Exquisite Corpse. But there it is. That was round 1. At the end of that, we're gonna see the scores here. I love the little score sheet with the raising of the whatever they are, the heads on sticks. That's great. I'm a big fan. But now we're gonna move on to round 2, and round 2 actually very similar to round 1, pretty much the exact same idea, except in round 2 now we get the the prompts that are given by the game, some of those prompts will now be automatically populated with some of the favorite words that people selected from round 1. So the only big difference here in round 2 is that we get a little bit of more interesting starting prompts based on the words used, but round 2 works practically the same as round 1. The later text in the game though does use some of your favorite words, so that's different, that's interesting. And then now for round 3, and again it's gonna work the same as round 1 and round 2. Not a whole lot of gameplay shakeups here. You're just writing texts and you're grading, but as the rounds go on, the starting prompts and the starting text messages get a little bit more crazy to help you write. But that's basically FIXYTEXT, and at the end we see the score, and this freaking thing blasts off into outer space. I love it. It shows your favorite words there. It gives all of those, and you're just flying in space. I mean, it's fantastic. But that's FIXYTEXT. You write and then you vote. You write and then you vote. That is the game. But I've got a little bit more information. This is just sort of my notes that I saw that I wanted to get down. So they explained it as like being in Google Docs together, where you're all editing at one time. I could see that, definitely a little bit like that. All players are going to see the same random question. You're all getting the same prompt. You don't have to get a different prompt as a different player. So all the players are going to see the same prompt. Obviously there's no deleting or backspacing, so you have to have good spelling and punctuation, or not. The worse spelling and punctuation, the more humorous it's gonna be. So again, at the start of the round, you get to decide where to place your cursor. You only have a couple of seconds to do that, but a very important decision. They say you only get so many characters. We're not sure exactly how many characters it is. It looks like maybe it's around like 40 or 50 characters, but you only get so many characters to write. Like I said, the game uses different accents for the text to speech. Some of them are familiar from other Jackbox games like Mad vs. City. Now this is interesting. It looks like there's many different categories that players choose from at the start. It asks them to choose a category, and they pick 3 different categories for us in this video. They pick a flirting one. They pick a text from the devil himself. And lastly, they pick something called serious business, which is sort of an inner office text message thing. The art for the game also changes depending on the category selected, which I wasn't expecting. There's like a cactus, there's like hands and feet with like tiles on the ground. There's all sorts of crazy different art styles depending on what category is selected. And one last thing I saw is that players are allowed to have a suggestion from the game, sort of like a safety quip. Yeah, that's all the information I have about FIXYTEXT. Was there something that you got from this video that I missed? After seeing it, what are your thoughts on FIXYTEXT? Honestly, it looks like a lot of fun. I'm still worried about sort of the streamability of FIXYTEXT with people live writing, but I'm sure the moderation tools are going to be able to handle that. So I'm looking forward to trying out FIXYTEXT. But what are your thoughts on it? It looks pretty awesome. It looks very funny. Like a whole lot of craziness is gonna happen. But yeah, let me know your thoughts now that we've seen more on that. And if you want to watch the whole hour-long video, please go on over to Outside Xbox's channel and watch that. I'm going to put a link down below for you to go there. But yeah, that's FIXYTEXT. We've got one more game coming to the Party Pack 10 that we still don't know about. Supposedly it might get revealed in August, which is honestly right around the corner. So I'm very excited about that. Very interested to see what that last game is gonna be. But what are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on the last game coming? How is Party Pack 10 shaping up? And yeah, I appreciate you all hanging out here with me. And we'll get more information soon. And when we do, I'll let you all know. But that's it for me, y'all. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Later.